Now, this point of the chapter, I gotta say, Garling, his stocks are up, bro. Holy crap. I cannot wait to see him animated and his role for the rest of the series. Okay, this chapter was some heat. I ain't even gonna lie. Chapter 1125. It is titled What Constitutes Death. I don't know why so many people assumed that we were going to jump straight into Elbaf after the last chapter. We know that the Straw Hats are headed there, and that's confirmed to be the next arc, but there's still some loose ends that needed to be tied up, and that's what happened in this chapter, and it may be in the next one as well. But yeah, just saying, like, people who thought Elbaf was going to happen this chapter, I don't know why. Have you guys not been reading One Piece this entire time? But the chapter starts off with the rest of the Marines. They are trying to get their bearings after everything that's happened. They're charging up the Seraphim. They're not entirely sure what to do with the Pacifista because, well, they were frozen, and at the same time Bonnie has their commands, as well as we see Lucci and Kaku. They are on top of the ship, and they're like, hey, what happened to Stussy? And Lucci says that she was killed in action, which is really interesting. Because I wonder what exactly Kaku told Lucci. We know in that chapter that they had a little bit of a disagreement, but Kaku did indeed let Stussy escape. So I wonder if Kaku told Lucci that he allowed her to escape, and Lucci just saying this as a lie to cover for Kaku, or if Kaku went and told Lucci that he actually killed her and let Stussy escape. Nevertheless, Lucci, you know, we know the type of person that he is, so it's really interesting whether or not we'll see this fleshed out, if Oda even brings this up. But the fact that he said that Stussy was killed in action and she wasn't is really interesting. We cut to Saturn and the rest of the admirals that were a part of the Buster Call, talking about how they kind of succeeded with having the Punk records, with gaining the Mother Flame, but they allowed the Straw Hats Bonnie to escape, so that sucks. But Saturn, he said that there was something even greater of a blunder, and that was allowing Vegapunk to deliver that message to the world, of course, because it has some truth to it. Obviously Vegapunk doesn't know everything, but the people of the world, they didn't know the type of dirt that the world government had. So now that this information is out, people are going to start and doubt them. And then, you know, Saturn, he also talks about the Iron Giant, because this was his blunder. Originally it was supposed to be scrapped, but he was like, hey, let's try to use its resources to create weapons for the military. And we know what all happened. It ended up backfiring because Emmett, he ended up awakening, and he helped the Straw Hats escape in this instance, where if Saturn would have destroyed him originally, we wouldn't have to have worried about any of this. Now, this is really interesting because, as I mentioned prior, not necessarily in this video, but previous videos that I've made, is that after hearing this broadcast, there are going to be some people that believe the world government, and there are going to be some people that have their doubts. There are going to be some people that believe what Vegapunk said. And so Vice Admiral Doberman, he was like, hey, Saturn, since you said, you know, something about this being a failure, does that mean there was some truth to what Vegapunk said? And then Saturn hits him with an I-beam, and we know how dangerous that is, because it even allowed Sanji, who has his Germa awakening, it made him bleed, and, you know, made Sanji feel pain. So the fact that you know, Doberman took this, he's obviously knocked unconscious, and delivered a heavy blow. But it's just interesting, and I can't wait to see more different Marines like start to question the world government, whose side are they going to be on. We know Aokiji left because, you know, he has things that he has to pursue that he didn't necessarily find within the world government. So I can't wait to see different ranking officers, vice admirals, what's going to happen to them now that this broadcast has come to light. So there are clouds that are being used. York, she's not entirely sure what is going on. She's like, oh shoot, somebody is trying to steal the Punk records. And we see Edison, he's like, yeah, that's right. And the Punk records, it goes into the sky. York, she has been played, and the Punk records is no longer in the world government's hands. So they didn't kill Vegapunk, they didn't get Bonnie or the Straw Hats, they didn't get the Punk records. The only thing that they got was York and the Mother Flame, which I guess you could say is a little bit of a win, because, well, York, she's a Vegapunk, so she's smart. They're going to have somebody that can, you know, produce different weapons and, you know, just use her science to their advantage. So I guess that's a plus. But in terms of everything, like the totality of what the world government wanted to achieve, they didn't. They failed. So I don't know how they should feel about it, if it's a win, if it's a loss. I feel like they lost more than they gained here, so maybe this whole Egghead incident wasn't necessarily beneficial to them. We get to see a little bit of the chaos that's happening at Mary Joa. Number one, talking about Vegapunk and his broadcast, but as well as seeing the repercussions of what happened during the reverie with the Revolutionaries. We know, and it's kind of crazy that sometimes, I don't know if Oda does this on purpose, whenever the anime like adapts something from the manga, and then like in the very next chapter, Oda then like kind of expands upon it, or like gives us future stuff based off of information in the past. I don't know how that happens, but recently animated, Sabo talked about their goals at the reverie, and how they stopped the celestial dragon's food supply, or ended up making them hurt. And so we see someone talk about, hey, like these are just scraps, which it probably is like a normal portion of food, but they don't care. Obviously they want whatever they can get. And so some of them had to skip a meal, some of them couldn't even get snacks whenever they wanted. So just actually seeing the repercussions and the hard work that the Revolutionaries put in, I think that's a really cool detail. Now this point of the chapter, I gotta say, Garling, his stocks are up, bro. Holy crap, I cannot wait to see him animated and his role for the rest of the series, because Garland walks into the room with the other Gorosei and they're like, well, what the fluff are you doing here? And he's like, oh, did you not hear? Right, York's going to be working under me because I am the new defense science warrior god, like my fellow elder. So that means that Saturn is no longer a part of them, which is really interesting, which I'll dive into a little bit later when I talk about like what happened to Saturn. But the fact that Garling, like he was the supreme commander of the Holy Knights, so does that mean that he then loses that title, and is somebody now going to become the new supreme commander, or is he going to have both titles? How is that going to work? Especially because what happened to Saturn, Imu is torturing him and aging him and killing him because Saturn failed and allowed Joy Boy the stuff that he did at Egghead, allowed everything to happen, the Shroud to escape, and was defeated by Joy Boy's powers. And so Saturn, it looks like smoke's going around, and Emu's like taking his soul away, and then we see like a panel of a dead skeleton that's presumably Saturn. I'm going to say it is him. However, I'm not going to be like 100% confident in saying that. I know how Oda is. I know how One Piece is. Some characters can come back to life on some bullshit, really. So, I'm going to take this with a grain of salt. But the reason why I want to bring this up is because we've seen in different flashbacks, like how long the Gorosei have reigned, how long the 5 elders have been around. And so the fact that like Imu took one's life away, like, were there previous like elders that Imu took away, or and also I know that Garling, like the elders are like the pinnacle of the celestial dragon. So like, does that mean that Garling was like always going to be a candidate to be the 5 elders? Is the Figarland family like that important? And like, just like the lore, like with Shanks, this opens up so much more, just so many questions that we're going to need answers to. We also see, and this is kind of what Lilith was talking about, we see the other Stellas, that they are still alive. They are in the Punk records. They are one person. They combined to, I guess, take the best parts about everybody and included them into one, with Edison being the head, Shaka being the body, etc. So it's kind of cool seeing them here, especially because their information was always going to be uploaded into the Punk records. So technically, anybody that thought Vegapunk was actually going to be killed, or at least his Stellas, like, nobody should have thought that. Maybe the main body, yes, but the Stellas, no. I'm not necessarily mad at this. Apparently, they also had spare parts for everybody here, and they're getting rid of York. So, that's pretty interesting, just seeing them here. And I can't wait to see whenever the Stellas, they're going to be back into the fold. They also make contact with Weatheria. I assume that's where they're headed, or are going to try to move the Punk records there somehow. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to see. But the chapter ends. We get back to the Revolutionaries. We didn't really get to see their reactions too much about Vegapunk's broadcast, but Koala, she's writing everything down, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do, because talking about, hey, the island sinking, oh, put 2 and 2 together. That's why the celestial dragons chose the red line, being the highest point on the planet. And Ivankov talked about the different slaves, how they spent 700 years to build those giant structures. Remember, that's where Nico Robin was sent. Just all the pieces are going together, and whoever gets the one piece obviously is going to have the ability to control the world. So that's why it's important for the revolutionaries to, they want to build a better place. It's not just based off of like the injustice that happens with the world government as well as pirates. So they're going to have to go after the One Piece as well. And depending on who it is, obviously if it's Luffy, Sabo will probably let Luffy have it because that's his brother, and he knows Luffy's not going to do anything to make the world like fall into ruin. But like, what if like Blackbeard and like Kid and like Shiki and other pirates, Buggy, that are going after it, like what are they going to do? So that means that the Revolutionary Army, they're probably going to have to start collecting poneglyphs, and we could potentially see them at Laughdale. Another chapter that was really freaking good. I also got to mention this dragon. Another chapter, he's staring into the wind. Another chapter where he ain't doing nothing. My dragon stalks are down. I need him to do something. But let me know how you guys feel about this chapter in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.